Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, and this video will be previewing day 1 of Royal Ascot, which kicks off tomorrow, and over the next week we'll be analysing every single day of the Royal Meeting, giving you selections for every race, every day, and hopefully we can have some winners along the way. Also as well, before I get stuck into the action, please subscribe here to my YouTube channel at Lucky Loaders 15, not to miss any of those videos, so you'll get notifications when they're uploaded. Also as well, follow me on Twitter as well, at Lucky Loaders 15, that's my Twitter handle. I'm going to be having lots of Twitter polls, also as well questions, gossip, all about Royal Ascot, so go and follow me on there if you don't do so already, and hopefully we can have a really good meeting. Now, since I've been doing YouTube, I've always loved doing Royal Ascot. I've been doing YouTube the last 2 years. My first Royal Ascot on YouTube was very good. We had quite a lot of winners the first year I did it, which was back in 2017. Last year was a bit hit and mix. We did have a few winners on the channel, but nothing to write home about, at least anyway at the odds. But we had quite a lot of horses as well that hit the crossbar. We had quite a few placed horses, but it was quite tricky last year, I thought. But hopefully we can have a good year this year. And getting into tomorrow's action, I think it's actually going to be quite a difficult day. Actually, there's quite a few horses here that have plenty of chances, and the way the format of this video is going to go is I'm going to do, like I said, a selection for all of the races tomorrow, and also as well I'll go through some of the leading contenders in each race and give you a few thoughts and feelings on what I think their chances are, because I think it's just good to get a general overview about how I think they will go. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know I'll do big race previews. I'm not going to have any really fancy graphics on the screen. That's because I would be here all day if I was going into some of the key trends and that, so I'll just go over a few things to maybe think about when having a bet in this race, but I'm not going to go in detail as I often do. And even if you're a new punter and you don't know much about horse racing as well, I'll try and make it as easy as I can for you to understand. So without further ado, the action kicks off tomorrow. The first race, as it always is now, is the Queen Anne. Starts at 2:30 tomorrow. And I think actually this is probably the most trickiest race of the day tomorrow, even if you did include the Coventry Stakes. But I fancy quite a couple in here, and this is going to be the only race where I'm going to be given two selections because I can't split them and I've had to back both. So I'll get onto my two selections in a minute. Now, the market is currently headed by Le Bravido for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. Now, this horse is a 5-to-1 favourite at the moment. He won the Jersey Stakes back in 2017 for Andre Farb at the Royal Meeting and was definitely looking like a good horse, but he had a few problems, and this year he's been moved to Aidan O'Brien's stable over in Ireland. He's ran okay, Le Bravado, finished 5th in the Lockinge last time out when he was actually running on quite strongly at the end, but I think he's not as good as what people think he is, and the only reason he's the favourite is because he's trained by Aidan O'Brien and he's ridden by Ryan Moore, and bookmakers are often frightened of their horses. So for me, I would be swerving Le Bravido, and I think he's definitely worth laying, and I'm not going to be backing him tomorrow. Mustachery should be favourite for this race in my opinion. He won the Lockinge Stakes, which is kind of a trial for the Queen Anne. He's 11-2 bookmakers at the moment. Like I said, he won the Lockinge, but the thing that goes against him here is that he's 6 years old, and no 6-year-old that I could find, or anyway back in the last 40 years, has actually won this race, so that's a concern there. Jim Crowley's booked for the ride tomorrow, who's a good, capable jockey. He's won at the course before, which will help him as well. But for me, Mustachery, I just like to take him on because I think there was a few in behind in that Lockinge that might come on for the run and maybe will give him more of a race, but he definitely does deserve to be favourite, and I think he will go off favourite tomorrow, but I'm not going to be backing him. Laurens is an interesting one. I think actually she won't go too well at Ascot. She didn't like it last year on Champions Day when she finished in 8th place, and I think really when she's been against the boys she hasn't really done it. She did a good race last time out though at Newbury when she did finish in 2nd place. She's a good game tough mare, likes to go forward. She's won 4 Group 1s when she did all her good work last year, trained by Carl Burke in the colours of John Dance and PJ McDonald, but for the ride tomorrow, who's her retained rider. but even though she's 13-2 but makes at the moment, I think maybe she's good each way bet if you can get that price. I think she'll be well back too tomorrow. I think she'll go off maybe nearly co-favourite with Mustachery, but I'm going to be swerving her because I think there's two at bigger prices that you can make cases for. Now these are going to be my selections for the race tomorrow, and the first one is Hazapour for Frankie Dettori and Dermot World in the colours of the Aga Khan. 10-1 best odds with bookmakers at the moment. You can get that William Hill with the 4 places. This horse is 2 from 2 over the mile and won the Group 3 Ascot Stakes at Leopardstown last time out in fairly good style. Finished 5th in the Derby last year and probably just didn't stay that day. So I think going to a mile is definitely going to suit this horse tomorrow. And I think with his extra stamina in reserve as well, he can run over a mile and 2. He's going to be doing his best work late on. And if he can settle early, he's going to be going very well. Also as well, he's in stall 4 as well, which is where the winner came from last year. So there's a lot of things to like about him. Frankie Dettori is obviously top Ascot jockey, and I just think there's a lot of things to like about Hazapour tomorrow. The other one I can't split with, and I've had to have a bet on, his Accidental Agent, who was last year's winner. 14-1 with bookmakers at the moment. Trained by Eve Johnson-Horton, who was a first Group 1 success with this horse last year. Charlie Bishop booked for the ride. Finished 3rd in the Lock-Ins last time out when he was back marker, similar to the Queen Anne last year when he was back marker, and then he came flying home. I think he'll come on for that run as well. He's got a good record at Ascot. He's won there other than just the Queen Anne as well before. He can handle a bit of cut in the ground. There could be showers around tomorrow, so he's quite versatile. No horse has won this race back-to-back since 1907, so that is against him, but he's still 5 years old, and 5-year-olds can win the race. 4 and 5-year-olds tend to do well in this race. They've won the last so many renewals, and that also fits for Hazapour as well because he's 4 years old. So there's a lot to like about Accidental Agent tomorrow. He's a good each way bet. 14-1 with Ladbrokes at the moment. They're paying 4 places on the race, and I think he's good each way bet, and he'll be doing his best work probably late at the end. So they're going to be my 2 against the field tomorrow, and that's going to be the only race where I'll be given 2 selections. I really couldn't split them, and I've had to have a bet on both. So that's going to be my selections for the Queen Anne. We then go to the Coventry Stakes next, which is for 2-year-olds. Very difficult really to work out what's actually going to win this race. Arizona is the current favourite at the moment, 5-2 but makes at the moment, bolted up by 8 lengths at the Curragh last time out. The trainer's won this race 8 times in his career before, so obviously he knows what he's doing. Stall 3 tomorrow as well, and I think there's going to be some pace on there, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you've got to think he's going to be probably the favourite when it comes post time tomorrow. Threat has been receiving quite a bit of positivity from quite a few people out there, but for me, I think actually his run at Newmarket wasn't as good as first thought. I watched the race back today, and I thought, yes, he did it well, but I've been impressed by others this season. Richard Hannon, again, he does do well in this race, but that race over at Newmarket was over 5 furlongs, and there's horses that have run over 6 furlongs already that I think will go even better. So he's one I'm probably going to swerve. Now, the other one that I quite like, and I nearly went for him as my selection, was Minosky for Mark Johnson and PJ McDonald. He's won this race back in 2015, 12-1 with bookmakers at the moment. Ran very well at York over 5 furlongs behind Jeremy Cedars horse called Bombproof. But then went on to Pontefract last time out and beat the Brocklesby winner by 6 lengths at Pontefract. Drawn from stall 2 tomorrow. Winners can come from that side, and Minosky, the typical Mark Johnson front runner, could be the pace angle in here tomorrow, and I think he might set it up for my selection, which I'll just come on to in a sec. The other one I just wanted to mention as well, maybe if you wanted a few quid at a really long shot, that could be Cosey for James McDonald and Hugo Palmer. Bolted up very well on soft ground at Carlisle. This horse by Zoffany I thought was very eye-catching on the day, and if there is a bit of rain around tomorrow, he's going to be one liking the ground. But my one that I'm going to back here is Guildsman for Oisin Murphy and Archie Watson. Archie Watson, very prolific with his 2-year-olds, 8-1 best odds with bookmakers at the moment. You can get that bet Victor, who are offering 4 places on the race, so definitely be taking each way angle here. Now this horse won very impressively at Goodwood by over 6 lengths on soft ground. He's by Wootton Bassett, this horse. Now, the Guildsman is in the colours of the Qatar Racing Group, who often have very good horses, such as Roaring Lion. But the way he won at Goodwood last time out, when things went wrong for him, was very impressive. He blew the start, and then in the end, as the message got to him, he just drew further and further clear. He travelled nicely into the race. He recorded a good time as well, considering things went wrong for him. He actually drifted out as well to a bit of a price beforehand, but then he came back into support. Guildsman, I think tomorrow, this could be where Archie Watson really does establish himself and shows why he's so good with his 2-year-olds. And for me, I think he's the bet at the prices. So that's going to be my selection there in the Coventry, Guildsman. We then go for the next race at Ascot tomorrow, and that's the King's Stand, which is the sprint race. Now, Batash is the favourite here tomorrow, but for me, I'll be swerving him. Trained by Charlie Hills, Jim Crowley but for the ride, 2-1 favourite, second last year, won well at Haydock on his reappearance, but at these kind of big race meetings such as Ascot, and also as well at York, he gets very temperamental, and he's not seen to the best effect, and I'll be swerving him. Blue Point I do like. I think he's going to go very close. Trained by Charlie Appleby, James Dills but for the ride, was free from free in Dubai this year, and Charlie Appleby seems to think he's in a better place now. He actually won this race last year, Blue Point, but Tash went too fast and Blue Point closed on him early on. And I think tomorrow Blue Point is going to be there or thereabouts come the line, but I'll give you my selection in a sec. Soldier's Cool as well is going to be up the pace tomorrow, I think. Archie Watson, Danny Tudhope but for the ride, 16-1. Won the Windsor Castle here as a 2-year-old last year. He's going to get the 3-year-old allowance in his favour. He'll probably be well fancied tomorrow as well, but I think Soldier's Cool and Batash could really blow their brains out going up in front tomorrow, and it's going to pave the way for my selection here. Mabs Cross, she does all her best work at the end. She won the Abbey last year on Arc Day, and she's trained by Michael Dodds, whose horses are running really well. Paul Mull running as well, but for the ride. Noted his 1,000th career winner yesterday at Doncaster. Now this horse seems to be getting better with age, and also as well tomorrow she's going to be on better terms with Batash. She won at Newmarket on her seasonal reappearance, but she finished third at Haydock last time. She's going to be getting she's £5 better off for that run last time out with Batash. She also as well had the beating of him in the Abbey, and also as well in the Nunthorpe at York. She finished third in this race last year, and I think there's a lot to like her with Mabs Cross. She's 9-1 with bookmakers at the moment. You can get that Skybet, and I think with the 4 places on offer tomorrow, that's definitely a good solid each way yardstick. So that's my selection for the King's Stand. We then go to the St James's Palace, the Group 1, next to 420, and the Phoenix of Spain is the favourite with bookmakers at the moment. He's 15-8. He won the Irish 2000 Guineas for Charlie Hills and Jamie Spencer on his return. Jamie Spencer's legged up again to ride tomorrow. Also as well won the Group 3 Ascot Stakes at York last year. Did it very well. You can't argue with him. He deserves to be favourite. But for me, I think there's maybe a winner in here that maybe can be forgiven, and I will get onto him in a sec. You can probably guess when I go through some of the other contenders. King of Comedy as well has to be a mention in my short list. Trained by John Gosden, Adam Kirby booked for the ride, 6-1 bookmakers at the moment. 2 from 2 this year. Won the Heron Stakes listed race at Sandown last time out in very good style. I think he's still got a bit of growing up to do, and he might be a horse that maybe come on a bit forward later in the season. Maybe something like the Jubmont or something York could be more his gravy. But for me, King of Comedy, I'll be swerving him. Scardo as well, been running solidly, won the Craven on return on his seasonal reappearance at Newmarket, finished third in 2000 Guineas at Newmarket on the Rolly Mile, and then went to Ireland last time out and finished fourth in 2000 Guineas, the Irish 2000 Guineas at the Curragh. I think he'll be a solid yardstick tomorrow. But William Haggis, he actually hasn't got a good record at Royal Ascot, and I read a stat the other day that Jamie Osborne's actually got more Royal Ascot winners than William Haggis, so that's definitely an interesting stat there. But my selection is going to be too darn hot. I'm going to forgive him his appearances so far this season, and actually, to be fair, he only finished second. He still beat some decent horses. He just wasn't showing his reputation as a 2-year-old. He's Frankie Dettori ridden tomorrow, and John Gosden trained. Now, John Gosden won this race last year without parole, so he knows how to do the job. Finished second in the Dante behind Telecaster at York on his reappearance. Then finished second in the Irish 2000 Guineas, which came too quickly for him. He's had a bit of a break now. John Gosden is very positive about his chances tomorrow, and I think going back down 7 furlongs will help him. I think really people got a bit carried away with him last year because he was the highest rated 2-year-old since Frankel, and rightly so. He's also as well in stall 2 tomorrow, and from the St James's track where they actually run around the bend and actually not in the straight course, that's going to help him as well tomorrow. So there's a lot to like about Too Darn Hot. I think he will go off favourite come post time, and he's 5-2 Skybet if you can still get that, as he was at the current time of recording. We then go to the Ascot Stakes, a very difficult race to work out, over 2.5 miles, a handicap. And normally in recent years, you've got to follow Willie Mullins, and he's got the favourite with Build Me Up Buttercup tomorrow. Ryan Moore often rides quite a lot of his horses at this meeting. 9-2, but makes at the moment. Now, this horse was with Mick Shannon, won a course bumper actually for Mick Shannon a couple of years ago, and is rated 91. But I think actually Build Me Up Buttercup shouldn't even be rated 91, and a lot of people saying she's well treated in that. They're only saying that because she's with Willie Mullins. When she was with Mick Shannon over here, she was nowhere near that ability on the flat. She won't mind if there is a bit of cut in the ground tomorrow, but for me, she's going to have to come on a real lot. And also as well, she never really cut it over with Willie Mullins over in Ireland as a jumps horse. So for me, I'll be swerving her. Mengele Khan, I think, could be the worthy favourite. Interesting. Rory Cleary booked tomorrow for Gordon Elliott, 6-1. Was with Hugo Palmer and has done very well for Gordon Elliott and the Gigginstown group. Placed at both Cheltenham festivals in the last couple of years. He's going to be running off a mark of 96 tomorrow. He was a very good flat horse, and I just think tomorrow he's maybe one you want to keep an eye on, but he's not going to be having my money on him tomorrow. Coeur de Leon is talking up his chances by quite a few people. He's 15-2, but makes at the moment. Won the consolation race at Chester last time out. Finished second on his appearance at Newbury. Finished 6th in the race last year, and he won't mind a bit of cut in the ground. But for me, Thornhammer Hansen, he might just have his work cut out tomorrow for Alan King. Alan King as well has never won this race, which is quite surprising considering jumps trainers have a very good record. John Joe Neal, Nicky Henson, Willie Mullins, David Pipe, they've all won the race, so that's definitely a good angle in, and that's actually going to be how my angle's going in tomorrow. And the one I'm going with here is a trainer that hasn't won this race, but he's actually been doing quite well this season on the flat, especially with his longer stayers, and that's Gary Moore, who's got Not Never in here tomorrow. Harry Bentley booked for the ride, who's a positive jockey booking, 20-1 but makes at the moment. You can currently get that with Bet Victor, paying 5 places on the race. Now, this horse was another Hugo Palmer horse, and actually finished second in the Melrose, which is kind of a consolation Ebor race at York. That was a very good performance that day by him, and if he's anything in that mood, he should go really well. He's versatile on the ground, and since he's been with Gary Moore, he's done very well as a jumps horse. He's 5 wins from 11 starts for him, so he's got pretty much a 50% winning record, or thereabouts. So for me, I just think Not Never tomorrow for mark of 95. We know he can cut it on the flat. He's also as well coming in here off a win. He won a few weeks ago at Fontwell on his Chase debut, and I think there's a lot to like about Not Never's chances tomorrow. And with the multiple places, we'll know he'll stay, and he's versatile on the ground. For me, I think he's a good play tomorrow at 20-1, and he's going to be my tip there. The Wolferton Stakes is the final race, the listed contest, and Earlicombe heads are betting at 5-1 with Makes at the moment. Was very impressive last time out, winning at Goodwood in a listed race, but I'm going to want to swerve him considering he had problems last year. And I just have also as well doubts about the ground. If it does get soft, there could be a deluge tomorrow by this time, as they are expecting thunderstorms, and there is a thunderstorm warning as well. So be interesting to see what happens, and I'm going to swerve him there. Magic Wand as well was quite prominent in the betting for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien, 6-1 with Bookmakers at the moment. Won the Ribbersdale last year, the fillies race, and also as well she's going to be getting the fillies allowance tomorrow, so there's quite a few things in her favour. She's a course winner, she gets the allowance. However, soft ground would be a big concern for her. She was pulled up a couple of times last year on soft ground. She didn't like it at all in the Oaks, and I think you're going to be wanting to swerve her. One horse that well likes soft ground is Adiab, who was a Group 2 winner last year for William Haggis, also as well won the Lincoln. Danny Tadtoke booked for the ride tomorrow. He's 8-1 with Bookmakers at the moment, and he's definitely going to like the ground if it actually does go soft. Also as well, I think another horse that may be worth mentioning, and actually probably is going to be my selection and where I'm going to go, is a horse called First Nation. Now this horse, First Nation, is part of the Godolphin operation, 16-1 with Bookmakers at the moment, trained by Charlie Appleby. James Dawes but for the ride, finished 5th at Newmarket behind Elicam last time out in a Group 3. But this horse has actually got a good record on soft ground. He's run well, actually finished 2nd in the King George Handicap at Royal Ascot back in 2000, and 17. Also as well can go well fresh and has won further than this. So going back down and trip will help him tomorrow. He's 20 to 1 with Paddy at the moment. They can get 4 places on him. And I just think tomorrow, if you can get the 16, 20 to 1 on him, he could be a good each way bet tomorrow with the 4 places. And I just think there's a lot to like about his chances tomorrow. He's drawn wide, but quite a few of the winners actually, or the horses that did well in this race last year, came from out wide. It's a tricky race to end on, but First Nation is going to be where my money's going as my final tip on day 1 of Royal Ascot. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. Also as well, let us know in the comments box below who you're going to be going for tomorrow. I'd like to know what you guys think, what your selections and tips would be. And that's all I got to say. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners of day 1 on Royal Ascot, and we'll be seeing you soon.